Yo, 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 yo. I am alive, coming back at you again. And that again has been several months since I've done a live stream. And like I've told you guys, and I want to be upfront with you that I'm not going to spend too much time on doing live streams anymore as I really want to. And the reason being is because there's other things in my life that takes priority than spending hours and hours doing live streams here on YouTube. Now I still keep up with the current events and the upcoming fights and schedule when it pertains to boxing. And I do have offline private chats. I'm still in the chats. I still have conversations with certain individuals like EJ, Hamed, shout out to you guys, and so forth, and Joe Abib and others. So, first things first, I got to give my shout out to boxing in general for 2023 because 2023 has turned out to be a great year of boxing. And the fights haven't come to pass yet, but they are upcoming, and that goes from Inoue to Fulton. That fight's coming up. So it should be tonight or tomorrow. I could be wrong, but I have to double check. And after that, in 2 weeks, we got Spence-Crawford, a fight we've been waiting for the last 2 to 3 or 4 years now. Before that, we had Take and Ryan Garcia, that pretty much kicked off the year. So that was definitely a plus. And then after that, we gotten Haney and Lomachenko, a great fight, a fight that did end in controversy because I felt that, and I liked Evan Haney, but I felt that he lost that fight. And I thought Lomachenko was deserving of the decision. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. But it is what it is. But I will not say that fight was a robbery. I thought it was close. However, I thought Lomachenko was deserving of the decision because I thought he really outclassed Devin Haney in the championships rounds, other than the 12th, which arguably what may have cost him the fight on the judges' scorecards. Now, I would say this though, going back to that fight, if I can offer an opinion on that, I would say that the judge who scored, I think it was Dave Moretti, who was the other official of that fight. He scored the 10th round for Devin Haney, and you can clearly see that Devin Haney clearly didn't win that round. He lost that round by a pretty wide margin on the punch stats. And yes, I know punch stats are something that judges don't score fights based off. But if you look at the volume of punches and look at the impact of those punches in that round, Haney lost that round. He lost it, but yet Dave Moretti see fit to give him that round. I don't know why. I don't know why he came to that decision, but I guess that element of that scoring of that round to Devin Haney was why people were arguing controversy in favor in regards to Lomachenko. But needless to say, it is what it is. And like I said, I haven't been on here for a long time, so I don't expect too many people to come in to comment. But if you do, great. But I just wanted to offer my 2 cents on the upcoming schedule and the heavyweight division. And we got to talk about this because, leading off of the heavy division, we have to talk about one individual, and that individual is Tyson Fury. Now, about a few days ago, I say about a week ago, there is an official announcement that Tyson Fury's upcoming fight was going to be a game changer, according to his UK promoter, Frank Warren. And I had a feeling that game changer was going to be Francis Ngannou. It wasn't going to be Usyk. It definitely wasn't going to be a top guy in the WBC rankings like Frank Sanchez or Martin McCauley or Philip Herkovich and Akhmat Muvdov and others. So Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury fight got announced last week, and the fight was going to be promoted by, what's the name of that promotional company? It's not Skills Challenge because they have nothing to do with the fight. It was some other outfit out in Saudi Arabia. So where the fight's going to take place. Not only is it going to take place over there in Saudi Arabia, but it's on pay-per-view. Co-promoted by Top Rank, I believe, in the U.S. ESPN is going to be hosting that pay-per-view event here in the U.S. And BT Sport, which is now is reformed as TNT Sports. Those who don't know what TNT Sports is was a Time Warner company before it became Warner Discovery. It's been like that for so many years. Now, so TNT is new to the UK market. as far as his branding is concerned, but it's been a branding for the U.S. for many, many decades. TNT is well known for sporting events such as the NBA because it's covered the NBA. It's had its rights since 1985 or like goes all the way back to the early 80s and so forth. And they still showcase NBA games to this day. Before, along with that, they did have rights to the NFL for Sunday games at one point. And I think they also had some rights to the NHL many years ago. I can't recall. I could be wrong, but I have to go back and check. But anyhow, TNT Sports, which is formerly BT Sport, is going to be hosting the pay-per-view in the UK. Now, makes matters worse is that the WBC have given Tyson Fury special permission to take the fight without stripping him, without defending it against a mandatory. Now, you have people like Mauricio Suleiman who's decided to go on the damage control hype train with Tyson Fury to defend his actions, and such as this, when he's taking on Francis Ngannou, okay? And not only that he's taking on Francis Ngannou, the argument was that his title was not going to be on the line, that it was going to be an exhibition bout. But days later, we find out that it's going to be a sanctioned professional bout where each guy will earn the right to have a win-loss record on this, which means should Ngannou win the fight, he gets the first win on his professional boxing record. Should Fury win the fight, he gets to pad his resume against a novice. I know his guys, his goddamn lackeys like John Fury and Frank Warren, who's doing all the damage control tour for Tyson Fury, trying to defend his actions and trying to defend this fight. Frank Warren's getting up there on Talk Sport, and that's the only place he'll go, to Talk Sport, or in some cases IFL. He'll go there and he'll try to state his claim or his reasoning of defending this fight. Although he's been on record criticizing social media or cross-platform or crossover fights for many years. But yet, when his guy's doing it, it's no problem. It's all about making money. All right. And I'm glad that Adam Caparol, who the other day called Frank Warren out for that bullshit anyway, excuse my language, he literally called him out and asked him if Tyson Fury had no other opponent to fight other than Usyk, and the WBC is not made it mandatory right now because they can't get the Wilder and Ruiz situation figured out, why couldn't he fight Frank Sanchez, who was highly ranked? Why couldn't he fight Mark Bacoli? Well, he didn't mention Mark Bacoli, but why could he fight Aswa Makhmudov? Why could he fight him? If Frank Warren with a goddamn non-response to an answer, which is a cop-out if you ask me, had said that, well, who the hell are those guys? If those guys walk down the street, you wouldn't even know who they are. I mean, we're in the business to make money. Really? Really, Frank? If that's the case, then why the hell did you have Tyson Fury fight Otto Wally and Tom Schwartz, who were unknown heavyweights, and they were both on pay-per-view? Huh? Really? I thought the argument was, and this is for the Fury fanboys, Tyson Fury is such a huge draw, he can fight anybody and it will draw money. Really? Then why is it all about, it's all about the money now, but not fighting all the top contenders available? I thought he was a draw. I thought he could fight anybody and it'll draw money. But yet you're using this as an excuse for him to fight Ngannou. And I'm going to address certain fanboys, okay? Because I saw a video, and all due respect to the brother, and I like him a lot, but he made a live stream taking a shot at me and others who's criticizing Tyson Fury for taking a Ngannou fight. All right? Taking subliminal shots. I guess that's the East Coast thing to do. No disrespect to the East Coast, because I got family over there, and I respect the East Coast. Now, subliminal attacks and digs is one thing. I get it. That's their nature. That's what they do. They've done it for many years. But it is what it is. Everybody does it. But mainly the East Coast guys. But the fact is that you want to defer. You're doing exactly what Tyson Fury and Frank Warren. Well, Tyson Fury hasn't came out and said anything because he's being a coward right now. He'd rather have his lackeys go out there and do the defending for him while he can't do it himself. That's a coward right there. That's a coward. I hate to say it. Not sugarcoating it. But anyhow, you get angry along with the other Fury fanboys. You guys are angry and upset that we're calling out the so-called best heavyweight of this era or the best heavyweight of this generation for being a duck and a coward that he is. He's only fought 3 top 10 guys in his entire pro career. He's already got 35, I think almost 35 or 36 fights in already. He's only fought 3 top 10 contenders: Wilder, Klitschko, and White. That's it. He's only had 6 title fights, 3 against the same guy. Arguably that he won all 3 of those fights. So that's against Deontay Wilder, that is. So when I and others call him out for the bullshit that he's doing, because he's the one who went out and said that he's the greatest heavyweight in his era. But when we hold him to that standard, it's a problem. We can't criticize him for that. We need to look the other direction. Like you made the video today saying that, or the live stream saying we need to focus on the big fights, naming Stephen Fulton Jr., Cool Boy Steph, and now anyway, we need to talk about Crawford Spence. We need to talk about Joshua White, which a fight you criticized, by the way, and you criticized Anthony Joshua to the fullest, and I'll get to him in a minute. And we need to talk about the fights that PBC is making right now, mainly by PBC, by the way, an outfit that you've vehemently criticized. Canelo versus Little Charlo, Jamel, that is, the undisputed light welterweight champion. I mean, not light welterweight, light middleweight champion. So you want us to focus on that rather than cry and bitch him on about Fury, about the shenanigans he's pulling and the con that he's pulling, trying to get everyone trying to sell this fight. Or, yeah, he's not doing it himself because he's too cowardly to do so, but he's letting his lackeys do it for him because he can't do it for himself. But I digress. But anyway, you get upset. You want to take subliminal shots at me and others because we want to call it out for what it is. All we're asking you to do is keep the same energy like you kept with Wilder and like you kept with Joshua. And rightfully so, because they were doing some bullshit that needed to be called out. Okay? Especially you made that live stream a while back, taking a dig at Wilder, taking major shots at him after he got knocked out by Tyson Fury. And rightfully so. Now, third fight that is. Rightfully so. But when he ducked Usyk, blatantly ducked him, and me and Base the Kid came out with undisputable data and facts why he ducked that fight, and you were called out by Base the Kid on the Undefeated podcast to show that same energy, like you've done with the other fighters. But you try to tiptoe around it. Yeah, and I applaud you for criticizing Fury to some extent, but you're not giving that same energy like you've criticized other fighters, particularly Wilder and Joshua, for the bullshit that they pull. So again, when I put in that in our chat that there was a rematch clause that was disclosed by Francis Ngannou himself in a recent interview, you didn't have to respond to that, man. I didn't expect you to respond to that. You chose to do that. Okay, fine, so be it. But yet you decided to say that, well, all these YouTubers and people are just using this as clickbait. I'm like, what's so clickbait about the fact that Ngannou was the one who disclosed the fact that he is taking a fight against a guy who's been a boxer since he was 6 years old, and the fact that this particular boxer is refusing to fight other top heavyweights while he's in his prime, and he's trying to find ways for them to get out of that situation, like Floyd Mayweather did to some extent, to find a way to get out of that contention where they beat up on each other, and then when they stop beating up on each other, then he decides to take fights with them when they've slowed down, particularly with Alexander Usyk. So why are you getting upset when we call that out for what it is, calling Tyson Fury out for the fraud that he is, like Anthony Joshua did a few years ago, when he was pissed off that Fury strung everybody along about that undisputed fight happening. And I think he had no intention of taking that fight, and rightfully so, that he needed to be called out for that. And at the same time, I felt that, you know what, him and Wilder and Team Wilder and Team Fury were all stringing each other along. Not each other, but stringing everybody along, believing that Joshua fight was going to happen. Okay? But anyhow, you get up there making a live stream and you're trying to take subliminal shots at everybody, trying to mock everyone. Okay, fine, that's your prerogative, but don't get upset when your fighter gets called out for the fraud that he is. That's what it's all about. It was just more of a whining live stream that you're upset that people are calling you out. I'm sure they're doing it on Twitter. I'm not observing what's going on in your Twitter account. And you said that, yeah, hey, I'm not talking about it because I think it's a waste of energy. Okay, fine. We're not asking you to talk about it. We're asking you to take, at the same time, we're not asking you to talk about it, but at the same time, you saw fit to respond to the post about the rematch clause that was disclosed by Francis Ngannou. I didn't ask you to respond to that. You did. And yet you're feeling like that people are harassing you to respond about it. So again, man, nothing but respect for you, but you taking digs because you want to divert attention away from the Fury fiasco, and we're calling him out and we're holding his feet to the fire like the coward and the fraud that he is, but you want us to focus on big fights that's coming up. Oh, come on, bro. You're better than that. And same thing with the Fury fanboys who's going along with this ride. Okay? So if you don't like the fact that Tyson Fury is being called out for what he is, the fact that he's been found out to be a fraud and a coward by Alexander Usyk and his team, and they played this very well, massively played this well, and you guys don't like it because Fury got played at his own game psychologically. He didn't think anybody was going to be up to the task, but Alexander Usyk did it very well. Pretty much ruined his reputation without throwing a punch in his face. And Fury knows it, and he can't stand it. And he's keeping quiet right now because he knows that this situation for Francis Ngannou's got so much backlash that it's gotten to the point that people are fed up with him. They're not feeding him any more money by buying pay-per-views until he cleans his act up together and take the fight with Alexander Usyk. And he needs to do it like now. Fight Usyk, fight all the top contenders, and then we can call you the best in his generation. Now, if he had done that, if he had fought Usyk, got the undisputed titles, if you want to vacate him, so be it. It belongs you still fight other contenders in the process, clean out, like Muhammad Ali did, like Mike Tyson did, like Lennox Lewis did, like Evander Holyfield did at cruiserweight, like Alexander Usyk did at cruiserweight. Do what those guys did, and like what Jermell Charlo did, clean out 154, become the undisputed champion. Do exactly what those guys did. That I would have not complained. If Tyson Fury was at the end of his career and he'd done those things like Muhammad Ali did when he fought the Japanese wrestler in the exhibition bout, in which, by the way, Muhammad Ali allowed Antonio Inoune, God rest their souls, both of them. They're no longer with them, so both of them have passed away. Antonio Inoue had passed away recently, I'd say about a year ago or so. But anyhow, he allowed Inoue to use his best. He allowed him to use his skills against him, shoot, fighting, kicks, kicks or punches, whatever. But Tyson Fury, on the other hand, doesn't want to allow Francis Ngannou to use his shoot fighting style. Straight up boxing match. But yet, why does he need a rematch clause against a novice? But yet, he bitched to complain about having a rematch clause against Usyk. It was him who said that I don't need a rematch clause. I'm a man's man. I'm a fighter. But yet, you want a rematch clause against a novice. Oh, wow. Okay. How does that work? And yet, to this day, I haven't heard an explanation from the Fury fanboys. Why is it okay for him to fight Ngannou in Saudi Arabia, but not Usyk, who, by the way, accepted the deal that the Saudis presented to him to fight Fury. But Fury is the one that ducked the fight there at that time and decided to duck it again when they were trying to bring the fight at Wembley. This is 3 times he's ducked the fight. He ducked the fight back in early 2020, early 22, okay, with Usyk. He ducked it then, back in February that year. He ducked it twice again this year with a space of within a month. And yet you guys find reasons to give him a pass. I just don't understand this psychotic behavior from all you Fury fanboys and crybabies who bitch and moan because your hero's getting criticized and he's been found out for being the fraud and the coward that he is. If this was Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, you guys would be all over them if they pulled these shenanigans. And don't be giving me this crap about, oh, well, you know what? If they fought Ngannou, I would have complained. They should do it. Really? What's the point of fighting Ngannou? What benefit did they get from that other than money? A big payday. Look, first things first. Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are no longer champions. They're not in contention for the title. Yes, they'll be fighting the ways to get into mandatory positions, but they're not mandatory challengers right now. And not only that, they're at the crossroads of their career. So it's arguable to determine whether they're at the end of their careers or not. I don't think they are, but it's an argument that can be made at this point. Tyson Fury, on the other hand, is an active champion. He's at the prime of his career. So yet, when I hear this argument from his father, John, who's coming out and saying that, well, why my son is doing exactly what Muhammad Ali did, he's doing exactly what Floyd Mayweather did, so why is everybody criticizing my son for doing it? Well, the big difference is, and I said it just moments ago, Muhammad Ali was at the end of his career when he fought Inoue in that exhibition match. And let's not forget, he also fought Lou Alzado, a former football player, linebacker, God rest his soul too, fought him in that exhibition bout many years back. He was already at the end of his career. He had already cleaned out the heavyweight division twice. He fought everybody that was there to fight. He fought everyone, and the list is longer than my 2 arms. He did all that. So he was really at the tail end of his career when it was in that pre-Parkinson stages. So don't give me that fucking stupid comparison. Floyd Mayweather was retired. he's accomplished everything that he could do in boxing. Yes, there were some guys that he could have fought that he avoided that I vehemently criticized him for. But at the end of the day, Floyd had beat Pacquiao, a fight that we waited for 6 years. He's beaten everyone else before that. The Arturo Gottis, the Philip Indus. Okay, Philip Indus wasn't a great fighter, but he was a top contender at the time. He was a legitimate contender. Diego Corrales, a fight that some people felt Floyd wasn't going to win. Gennaro Hernandez. Cha Corley, Oscar De La Hoya, others, Zab Judah. I can go on and on and on. He's beaten a lot of good fighters. He's got Hall of Famers on his resume. Shane Mosley. So don't compare what Tyson Fury is doing to those guys, because Tyson Fury hasn't even accomplished nowhere near what those guys have done. His resume is garbage, and I'm sorry to say that. It's garbage, far more garbage to compare to Floyd Mayweather and Muhammad Ali. It's not even close. Shout out to Fight Doctor in the chat in this case study. I know he's a troll, but okay, so what? But I'll leave this comment here because, yeah, but it's not disrespectful. But you say that, I should have called you a troll because you weren't disrespectful, so I'll take that back. You say that he's the greatest of all time. He'll whoop Usyk after his exhibition. Really? I don't think he's got Usyk on the cards because they said themselves that they're not even looking at Usyk after this so-called exhibition bout. And by the way, it's not an exhibition bout. It's a sanctioned fight. So whoever wins or loses, it goes on their record. That's been confirmed by, I believe, Team Fury, Frank Warren, and also Francis Ngannou in a recent interview. So anyhow, yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. You can take subliminal shots. That's fine. You can make a live stream and make those crybaby gestures to sound like you're funny. That's cool, bro. That's probably an East Coast thing. That's fine. No respect to the East Coast. But at the end of the day, don't cry and bitch and moan and get upset when people like me and others who are rational boxing fans call out your guy for what he is. And I'm just letting you know, keep the same energy like you did with Wilder and AJ when they pull shenanigans like this. And then Wilder, yes, Wilder deserves a lot of heat for the shit that he did when he was a champion and the shit that he was claiming and accusing Fury for doing after that second fight. I get all that. Those criticisms were warranted against him. But at the end of the day, Wilder acted more like a champion better than Fury did. And that's a fact. Joshua, I've criticized him to the length of my arm. The reason why I criticized him because people made him for what he, all his fanboys made him to be like the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's like a quote they use in the UK a lot. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but in actuality, he still had more work to do. Yes, he was being consistent. He was fighting all the top 10 contenders. Yeah, he was beating those guys, even those were tough fights, but he was coming through. I respect him for that. But yet they were giving him the crown as the greatest heavyweight of his era too, to some of them. And I had to call that out. But needless to say, though, at least Anthony Joshua conducted himself as a way better champion than Tyson Fury. Way better champion. He's fought all the top 10 contenders that Fury probably wouldn't even go near. He won't even go near Usyk. And yet Fury had the nerve to criticize Joshua for losing to Usyk twice. But yet he's the one that's avoided that fight, and he's avoiding it like a plague because he's waiting for Usyk to slow down. And he knows that Usyk's going to be tied up with tough mandatories, and he's hoping for either one of those mandatories knock him out or beat him up so to the point that he slows down. That's what he's trying to do. And the fact is, I hope, and at this point, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it for what it is. The man is a cancer to the heavyweight division. He's worse than Vladimir Klitschko, and I hope somebody knocks this guy out or beats him because he's got to go. He's got to go. The heavyweight division can do without Tyson Fury. And I'm serious to say that. At this point, the way he's going, he's not a Hall of Fame fighter. I don't give a damn what anybody say. Will he get in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. But if he goes this trajectory, then he will have a lot of work to do to be considered a Hall of Fame heavyweight at this point. Okay? I thought that True Jordy interview was the beginning of the end for Tyson Fury because he didn't like the fact that someone as True Jordy, who's a big Tyson Fury fan, called him out for what he is. And he didn't like that. So he went and cried and bitched and moaned to Father Warren, probably Kinahan, I don't know. And True Jordy hasn't gotten an interview ever since. So it is what it is. I mean, you think True Jordy, because, do you really believe he needs Tyson Fury to increase his platform? No, he doesn't. True Jordy had over thousands and thousands, close to millions of followers before Tyson Fury dropped on there and gave him an interview. Way before that. So it is what it is. Yeah, fight doctor. I mean, Fury just needs to go, man. He's pissing everybody off, including me. Okay, and I know again the subliminal shot that the uploader made about me and the others. Like, why are you guys so focused on Fury? Why are y'all crying about him? No, the fact is the man is calling himself the greatest heavyweight of his era. We have every right to call him out. Now, if you got a problem with that, then too fucking bad. That's your problem. You need to deal with it, bro. Plain and simple. We're going to keep criticizing him. We're going to be on his neck until he takes the fights that we want him to be involved in. Just like you went at Wilder for, and just like you went at Joshua for. So if you want to go at them for the same reasons, we're going to do the same thing to Tyson Fury. He is not an exemption when it comes to criticism. All right? So that's all I got to say about that. Let me talk about Spence-Crawford that's coming up in 2 weeks. I had a conversation about my colleagues today at work about this because they're big boxing fans just like myself. And one couple of them arguing that Spence is going to win that fight, and they had their reasons too. And I had my reasons why Crawford's going to win the fight. And I said the reason why I think Crawford's going to win is because I think Spence is a semi-one-dimensional fighter. What do I mean by that? Yes, he can make subtle adjustments in fights, but at the end of the day, if you take away his inside game, yes, he has a decent jab, but Spence is not an effective fighter from long range. He's more of an effective fighter when he's at close range, mid or close quarters. That's when he's most effective because that's where he can get most of his power shots off with, those big power hooks. At long range, he's good at long range, but I think he's more effective in the inside and the mid range. And I think Crawford will have the tools to kind of negate that and try to keep that fight at somewhat of a distance. Move around, switch hit if he needs to, kind of like how he fought Victor Postol. And to be fair, I'm not comparing Victor Postol or Earl Spence to Victor Postol. I know there's levels to this. And Earl Spence is a way better fighter than Victor Postol. What I'm saying is to take away your opponent's best effective weapon, you have to give him some angles. You have to give him looks that he's not used to. So, it's still a 50-50 fight. It's hard to pick a winner, but I'm gonna edge Crawford on this one because I think he's got more tools to his arsenal. He has the ability to adapt in the middle of the round, in the middle of the fight. That's something that Earl Spence is not used to. So I definitely can't wait to see it. We got Inoune versus Fulton that's coming up, I think, in 24 hours. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that fight in Japan. And then we got Canelo versus Jabal Charlo. And I think Jabal had came out recently said that there is a particular clause, stipulation, should Canelo get past Little Charlo, that he's got to fight Big Charlo. It's kind of like this whole situation with the Klitschko brothers used to do back in the day. I'm not sure how true it is because I think Jamal had said something about this on one of his live streams. And my message to Jamal, man, I hope he gets his life together. I know he's got some personal issues going on with his life. He's going through a divorce. It's looking pretty messy right now. I know he's had some financial issues. So I hope he really could get himself together because you look at him right now, he's not in good shape right now. He's totally out of shape. So I hope he gets himself together and we hopefully can see him back in the ring pretty soon because it's been nearly 2 years. Well, it's actually been 2 years to be exact that he's fought. And the WBC's yet to strip him. So I find that very mind-boggling. And yet it's not surprising because the WBC is refusing to give Tyson Fury a mandatory. They refuse to name him a mandatory. So unless they're getting a sanctioning fee, some type of sanction fee for the Francis Ngannou bout, that's probably why they're giving him some special exemption to take the fight. They're sanctioning that fight. There's no other ways to describing it. So, yeah, Fight Doctor says the big fish is about to get grilled. Yeah, I think he's gonna lose that fight, but I've been proven wrong before. So we'll wait and see. Man. So there's a lot of big fights going on. And yeah, Tyson Fury is gonna be still top of the subject. Like it or not, fanboys. You guys can cry, you can bitch, you can moan, you can complain, you can divert, you can make subliminal videos and live streams, take shots at certain people. You can do all that, but the fact is you won't silence me. You won't silence others who are rational about the situation. And the fact is that the man, we're going to keep calling him out and we're going to continue to put pressure on him and put our foots on his neck until he takes the fight that we want him to be in. He needs to act like a champion. End of discussion. So, speaking of Anthony Joshua, the rematch with Dillian White is set in the next 4 weeks. So, what do I say about this? I mean, look, it's a crossroad fight between two men. I mean, Dillian White has been, his resistance has declined rapidly, but he's still a very confident fighter. So he's willing to fight anyone. He's got that great warrior spirit. Joshua, on the other hand, not as worn torn as White, but he's got some psychological issues that he's got to deal with. But I did take a look at his recent training video in Texas. He seems very happy. He seems like in a very good place, man. It seems like he enjoys being in Texas. And in fact, after that Jermaine Franklin fight, he was eager to go back. He didn't want to stay in the UK after that fight. He wanted to go back. He wanted to go back and train. He wanted to hang out with Derrick James and others. And like I said before, and I had an offline discussion about this, I think there was someone there that Joshua met that really kind of got his spirits up. I'm not sure who he's met, but he seems to be in very good spirits. He seems to have a great time in Texas. He's out of, he's in a situation where, he can walk down the street freely. People won't really recognize him. He can be a regular person. He can focus on his training. He can focus on getting better. And by the way, he did take a shot at Robert McCracken. I know Carl Froch is not going to like that. The fact that he kind of summed it up where Robert didn't really, I'm not talking about McCracken, not Garcia. Robert didn't teach him to be more a all-around package fighter. He taught him to be more offensive, go for the kill, take shots, and it's like the Rocky mentality. Give more than what you can take, in other words. And Joshua didn't have the durability to withstand that, but he kind of threw Robert McCracken on the bus that Robert McCracken didn't teach him to have to be more defensive-minded. And he also addressed the fact that he does hear the critique and the criticisms and the critique and the criticism about him not being the guy that got him to the position that he is right now. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that he was known to be a very explosive fighter. He goes for the kill at any time, at any moment in the ring. And that's it. He just goes in there and he just fucks you up, excuse my language. But after that Klitschko fight, and he said that himself, and I've been saying this for years now, this goes out to all those Anthony Joshua fanboys who was always in denial. Anthony Joshua himself came out of his own mouth recently, said that after that Klitschko fight, things have changed. Whereas he was not going to be that fighter that everyone wants him to go back to be. He said that fighter is gone. He said it himself in a recent interview. That fighter is gone. I have to be more careful. I have to be more methodical. I'll take my chances when I need to take them, but I'm not going to be reckless like I've done before. So, but he didn't really want to mention that Andy Ruiz fight. So obviously that was icing in the cake where his confidence has taken a hit after that fight. Yes, he came back and won that fight, but he's had issues or psychological issues of how to deal with opponents after that fight. He said it himself. So again, Anthony Joshua fanboys, you can't be in denial anymore. Go look at that interview that he had when he gave with who did he give that interview with when he admitted to these faults. But anyhow, you guys can search it. What's up, Terrence? Texan. He said that what up, Dan? It's very, very long journey with these sagas, and the landscape is totally different from 2018. Yeah, man. It's been 5 years, man, since everything's been changed. And at that time, that's why I wish Wilder and AJ would have gotten on, because both of them were the reason why that fight didn't happen. Yes, Wilder turned down more offers, but again, this is where Joshua needs to be criticized, because Eddie Hearn kept moving the goalposts in these potential negotiations with Wilder, trying to put these one-way rematch clauses, for him to accept, which we knew he as a champion was not going to accept. Tell him that he's got to take the lower end of the split should he lose the fight to Joshua, should he beat Joshua. It's like all these moving the goalposts and adding all these stickler points, man. I just didn't like that from Team Joshua. And Wilder, on the other hand, trying to price himself out to some extent. And he was trying to compromise. But at the end of the day, they're both the reason why that fight didn't happen. Both of them have themselves to blame why they're in their crossroad positions that they're in now. So, yeah. Anyhow, White, as far as how the fight's going to turn out, I expect that Anthony Joshua to get Dillian White out of there. Again, Dillian is a warrior. He has that tremendous warrior spirit. He'll go in there against anyone, but at the end of the day, he's like that type of fighter that you got to save him from himself, because his punch resistance is deteriorated. It's been worse after that Povetkin knockout. It's been worse ever since. So I don't know, man. I mean, again, it's a crossroads fight. You have two fighters. Joshua's lost 3 of his last 5 fights, or 2 of his last 3 fights, if you want to put it that way. Dillian, on the other hand, has been knocked out in 2 of his last 3 fights. So, yeah, it's a crossover fight. I can't complain about it. But the only gripe that many others and myself have about that this fight's going to be on pay-per-view. Well, I don't think it's going to be pay-per-view here in the U.S. I hope it isn't, but it's definitely going to be in the U.K., and it's 26 pounds. So a lot of people got issues with that. So because of the fact it's a crossroads fight, it is ridiculously high for a fight that's not only it's crossroads, but there's no titles on the line. So, yeah, it is what it is. Moving along, Canelo versus Jermell Charlo. How do I feel about this one? Yes, I know the argument is that Jermell is a pretty big light middleweight. He can go up to middleweight. But we're talking about him not only going up in weight, but he's going up to super middleweight, a weight class that he's never been acclimated in. Canelo's fought at super middleweight for years now. Yes, Canelo's not really a huge super middleweight, but he's pretty right for that size to fight there. So he's been acclimated there for years now. So it's an interesting fight because you have 2 undisputed champions in 2 different weight classes going at each other. It's a rare case in boxing. We haven't seen that in many, many, many years. So, yeah, hats off to the PBC. And by the way, they were able to acquire Canelo on a 3-fight deal. And I know a lot of Matthew fanboys have been crying about that as of late, but it is what it is. So, yeah, interesting fight. I like Jermell, but honestly, I don't see how he wins that fight, man. I like him, but if he pulls it off, kudos to him. But I just don't see how he wins that fight. I'm just being real. And all those guys are complaining that Canelo's weight bullying, and I'm like, well, dude, the fact is that Jermell was the one who called Canelo out for that fight for years. Not just Jermell. Jermell has been doing it, and he got the fight. So, yeah, it is what it is. Again, it's 2 weight classes. It's not like it's been done before, but I will say this, though. A light middleweight going up to fight a super middleweight champion. I mean, it is a rare situation. But then again, not too long ago, I know Kyron Davis, who's a natural light middleweight, he moved up to 168 to fight David Benavidez as a last-minute replacement. So, and he was really competitive for the first 2 rounds, but you saw the size difference really took a toll on Kyron Davis. And he hit Benavidez with some big, big shots. But, of course, his power didn't carry very well at super middleweight. So, it is what it is. And speaking of David Benavidez, why is he running far away from David Morrell? He's running far away from that fight because he's waiting on the outcome of Canelo versus Jermell. That's what he's waiting for. He wants that Canelo fight. He ain't trying to risk his undefeated record to fight David Morrell because that's going to be a dangerous fight for David Benavidez. He knows it too, and he's fighting a big punching southpaw. So that I don't know. He better. I mean, honestly, Morrell called him out for being a fat, lazy coward because he's refusing to fight him at this point. Although there was messages that they both initially agreed to take the fight on principle, but David Benavidez came out and said that, no, I never agreed to a fight with Morrell. Morrell really lacked went at David Benavidez for behaving that way. And I don't think David Benavidez had responded to that. So, yeah. Anyhow, yeah, guys, like I said, though, I just want to have my 2 cents about this whole Fury and Ngannou situation, calling out the Fury fanboys for their hypocrisy and double standards and them taking subliminal shots at people like me. That's cool. That's fine and dandy. But again, it won't silence like rational critics like myself. We're going to still stay on this guy's neck, whether you like it or not. It will continue to talk about it, whether you like it or not. So you're not going to play this diversion where you want to cry, bitch, and moan about, well, you need to talk about the fights that's happening in 2023 instead of focus on this. Oh, no. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about the big fights. So tough luck, or tough shit, I should say. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. And before I shut this down, Terrence said, yeah, but you're right. Boxing fans already have Spence-Crawford checked off. We just need an undisputed heavyweight. Yes, exactly. We desperately need that undisputed heavyweight fight. You know how long it's been since we've had that fight, undisputed heavyweight fight? It's been nearly 24 years. The last undisputed fight we had was back in 1999. That was between 2 Hall of Fame greats, Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. 24 years ago. We had a chance to get that done last year and this year, and look what happened. Who was the common denominator? Tyson Fury fucked it all up. And that's why everybody's after his neck for it. And yet he's fighting a guy who hasn't even had a boxing match in his career. And no disrespect to Francis Ngannou. I really hope he wins because the fact that he's actually had a very difficult life. The way he in his upbringing, the way he had to come up from Ghana. I think he's Canadian. Is he Canadian? I think he's Ghana. Is he Nigerian or is he Ghanaian? I could be wrong, but he had a very tough upbringing. And I really hope and pray that he knocks out Tyson Fury. But I honestly believe, and I'm going to be a rational thinker here, we've seen this before. It's not going to happen. Okay? The only time a crossover MMA fighter beat a boxer was Evander Holyfield when he got stopped by Victor Belfort. And obviously, the age really played a factor there because Holyfield was goddamn 60 years old when he did that exhibition bout against Belfort. And Belfort was like, what is it, late 40s? But still a young guy compared to Holyfield. But it is what it is. But all I got to say is that, yeah, man. I mean, that's all I got to say about this. But other than that, shout out to you guys. I know I didn't have that many people coming in, but I didn't expect so. This is all good though, man, because I haven't been on here a very, very long time. So if I'm going to be consistent about this, I got to be more proactive on doing live streams. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have a live stream here and there. But if I have time to get on, I'll do so, like tonight. But again, shout out to you guys for coming in, for joining me. Other than that, I'm out. Peace.